The SPA high end. Let's talk about it. Now, this is an interesting IEM. All of a sudden, a new release of IEMs have come out, and I only have this one, but there's a bunch in this series that recently came out. The high-end Max is built with aviation-grade aluminum alloy, and it utilizes a 5-axis CNC process. So it's CNC'd very well. I know that Limier's IEMs have been done the same way, and it results in a very comfortable, nice fitting IEM, and it's a very beautiful IEM. It's a interesting, unique IEM in the same regard because there's so many different variations of this IEM, and this one costs around $289. The driver configuration is a dynamic dual magnetic Tesla coil with N52 magnet. So kind of like dual dynamic driver from what I get. This is the box with the different configurations. You can see the SPA high-end Max. These are the accessories. You get little bracelets, some tips, and a fun little booklet with a silver angel on the front. This is the cable, which is an extremely nice cable. I love that it's 2-pin. I like the connectors. I like the right and left. You have a chin slider that works. The cable itself feels extremely premium, and it has kind of its branding here on a 3.5 termination. I think this is a really nice cable, you know, the Silver Angel style, and you know, it just looks and feels premium, and for me that's important. It also includes a pretty cable tie. The shell looks and fits extremely well. I mean, it's a little bit on the large size, but it fits ear tips well. I like the design of this shell, and I think they did a good job with it. I think it's really gorgeous looking at this shell. I mean, if someone would ask how much does this IEM cost based off the shell alone, I might guess, you know, 1,000. You know, 1,500, and I feel like I'm pretty dialed into the IEM market. So I do feel that the design and look and feel of this shell is top class. It is extremely nice, and they did a fantastic job with this shell, with the look of it as well. I love the look and feel of this case. It looks and feels very premium. I mean, it's the same style, like, you know, I like circular cases, kind of like my Elitic case we just looked at. And it's just all around a nice case. It looks and feels nice. It has nice build quality. So how does this IEM sound? It is a very distinct V-shaped set, and it is not unlike other V-shaped sets. And I think it is a good V-shaped set. But for those that are looking for a flat tonality, this is not going to be for you. It is kind of different and sounds a little bit hollowed out in my ear as I listen to a lot of neutral sets in my own taking. But overall, I think this is a well done set with slightly recessed male vocals, and just the overall mid-presence region does feel a little bit scooped out. We'll notice that when we look at some graphs here in a moment. All right, as we look at this graph, what do you notice? It's kind of a warm graph, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I like warm IEMs, but it does have a lot of upper mids and treble. And I mean, it's not always a bad thing. It's kind of like a V-shaped, like a strong V-shaped set with a lot of 8K and a little bit of a treble roll-off. But overall, it does sound nice in ear. It's not a terrible IEM, but it doesn't have that sound signature that I think everybody is going to like. Let's compare this to quite a few others. The first one I want to show you is kind of the SimGot Darlings, right? We have the Super Mix 4 right here, and you'll notice it just has a little bit more warmth here, a little bit less sub bass, and it has a great deal less like 4K, but that peak and the amount of kind of upper presence region and brightness is about the same as that SimGot Super Mix 4. If we look at stuff like the EA 1000, I mean, it has a little bit less, mid treble than the EA 1000, a significantly less upper air than that one. So that's maybe not the best comparison, but the SimGot LM, I do think it is a good comparison. Let's change those colors up just a little bit to be a little bit more popping in. All right, so if we look at that, and it's that kind of upper mids. Like if you tried the SimGot EA, LM or 500 LM and you really liked it, I think this might be a good set for you to consider, especially if the design and build quality is something that you're interested in. Like it's not so far gone that it's like dumpster fire land, but it is a strong, prominent V with a little bit of dip in the sub bass region. As we look at a few others, this reminds me a little bit of Jay's Estrella. I think Jay's Estrella is a better set with a little bit more sub bass, a little bit more of this 1 to 2K range. And it's just a little bit more subdued with like less 8K energy and a little bit better this air and presence region. It's not going to be for everybody, but it does remind me a little bit of that tonality and presence region, although I would go with Jay's Estrella. But again, if you're tone to brightness issues, this is something to be considerate of. As we look at reviewers, let's look at Crinicles. This is Crinicles Dioko, which I still believe is in production. You can still buy it. You'll notice tons more mid-bass, which is fine. And it has a little bit more of that presence region here, and about the same amount of 8K. So I guess that's like, it's different, different peaks are going to hit your ear in a different spot and affect you in a different way. I mean, and for me, the tonality of the Ear Acoustic Audio High-End Max does work, but it's not what I call my ideal tuning. Another one to look at is like the Truth Ear Blue 2. I mean, just ton of this region up here, this 4 to 5 to 6K energy here, and similar kind of things, but it's even a little bit less on the Truth Ear Blue 2. I mean, the bass region is a little bit more of that tucked Harman style bass rather than kind of a warm presence region. So it is, like I said, it's a different approach to sound, which not everybody is going to like. Like this level of upper mids and this level of a V, in the 7Hz G1 is something that to look at. It kind of has a similar tonality in that regards. And so I kind of wanted to show that presence, that graph, just because I thought it was interesting how much of this upper kind of presence region it has. Again, not for me. It does sound really good on occasions, but it does come across slightly scooped and very V-shaped, which becomes kind of a concern. The Jazir Clear, kind of what a really fun favorite IM of mine. Like if you look at here, a lot of these IMs that I like, they do have a lot more kind of sub bass focused, which I think like the Ear Acoustic High-End Max could use just a little bit more sub bass and maybe a little bit more dialed down in these 3 spikes. Just a little bit would be a good thing. It does remind me a lot of the Bassin Metallic. I like this better than the Bassin Metallic, but I mean, if you look at the graph, there's a lot of similarities between the two. Just something to kind of note that there's a lot of IEMs out here with a similar approach. The Rhapsody, a lot of people love the Rhapsody, but if you notice on the Rhapsody, the high-end Max, it doesn't have the scooped out mids, which for me and for a lot of people, that's kind of a no-no. So I'd almost rather have extra warmth rather than like the scooped out mids approach that are done on the Harman and the Rhapsody. And you'll notice it has a little bit better and more cleaner upper mids than something like the Rhapsody. The Rhapsody was a fun set, but just kind of a bonkers amount of upper mids for me. One thing this reminds me a ton of is the CKLVX D62. I think these two trade blows. I think you could go either way with these two. Like if you're a fan of the 62 and you're a fan of what this brings, this could be a similar kind of tonality and presence to that one. And that's just something to think about. If maybe you tried the 62 and you thought it was great, this is something that I think you should consider as well. Another kind of harmony set, is the Jazir 81T. Again, I think there's something about having a little bit of extra bass and a little bit less of that 4K region, but it also kind of adds this kind of soundstagey, energetic, almost like a there's a pristineness about the audio high-end Max, that I think is something that people are really gonna like. And there's a lot to like about this IEM for sure. And it's one of those tonalities that, based off a graph, I would be like really hesitant whether I'd like it or not. But having it had an ear and been listening to it for a while, I think it's really awesome on different types of music. But it's not an all around perfect tonality, and it is very Harmon like in that regard. As we look at a couple sets, I wanted to compare some other ones like a Strong V and the Volume. Now, this is the original Volume, and you'll notice some similarities. Let's normalize at 500. But again, just a little bit extra warmth here, and a little bit of that extra these regions here, the 5 to 6K region. A lot of people will like this as a dip, but it's not always what everybody wants. One of my current favorite sets around this price point is the Volume S. The Volume S just has a lot less of kind of that warmth, a lot less of this 4 to 5K energy, and the treble and the upper air both kind of pitters off on both sets. But it's something to consider. Like if you're going for just a cleaner tonality, something that's a little bit more of an all-around set, I think the Softears Volume S would be a way to go. Now, not every set is going to take the EQ well. But for me, like the high-end Max, when I tried this EQ, it actually really worked for me. It got rid of a lot of my problems with the sub bass, with a little bit of warmth. It got rid of this upper mid-range dip, which makes things sound hollow. It killed some of this upper presence region, which can be good and bad, but it really took to this EQ well because of the way it sits in ear, and it's such a beautiful shaped IEM. It really did well with EQ. All right, the SPA high-end Max, let's rank this up. Overall rating, we're giving it a B+. A good, strong V, not weak. It's not for midheads. It's a really nice sounding IEM, but it doesn't sound very bassy. It sounds kind of mid-bassy, and it kind of takes out the mids in kind of a weird way. But the upper ends and high are nice. It images well, but its note weight's not really there, and it doesn't have this kind of majestic soundstage about it. But it's an overall nice set. It's an all-around good set, but it's one of those sets that I think its tonality is really going to be for some people that love V-shapes and that love a set with a lot of bass and a lot of treble. But if you're looking for a more neutral flat set, I think this set is kind of a pass. Like it's kind of one of those sets where I could see people liking it. I could also see people wanting to pass on it based off of its tonality. But I do think it's one of those sets that if you're interested in it, it becomes very appealing based on its sonic qualities. I sometimes I have to look at sets and take a moment and really reflect and kind of think about what I'm doing and what I'm saying and what kind of set this is. And I look at this set and I think it's one of the prettiest, most beautiful sets that I've ever had on my desk. And I say that having had a lot of sets in the $1,000 range on my desk and daily driven, lots of sets that are expensive and fancy. This set has a very unique feeling to it. I kind of don't like the fact that they released so many different sets at the same time. I feel like it almost like there's like 2 limited editions and a few other budget sets of this. I feel like they might have been better off releasing one style of set and then kind of going from there. Like it's a little bit like the market itself is hard to navigate as an end user, and it's hard when there's like 5 or 6 different IEMs released at once, and I think that's one of the downfalls of this set. I feel like the tuning could have been a little bit more JM1 style rather than a strong V or strong Harmon style set, and it might have been gathered a little bit more general appeal. But I do see how this is a fun, engaging set that people are going to like. It's just not really up what my wheelhouse would possibly go for. But overall, the presentation, the beauty not only of the cable, it's one of my favorite cables I've ever seen at any price. It's one of my favorite shells I've seen. The faceplate is gorgeous. The tips and the accessories are fun. Silver Angel is a fun motif. It's just, I don't know. There's a lot to love about this set. And I think because of, I think that the packaging accessories do represent excellent value. And I would love to see them do something a little bit more neutral and a little bit more flat, and maybe just see how that would sound for them and kind of go in that direction. Thanks for watching my video. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below. You're still here. It's over. Go home. Oh, you're expecting a teaser for our next video. Well, we don't have that kind of money. What are you expecting? One of those store reviewers to show up in a saucy little leather number? Go. Oh, I can tell you one thing. We are going to have a collab video. We have no idea what it's going to be. Probably Kryn, maybe Chris, or Joyce. Don't deny it. She's got range. Go. Get out of here. Go.
Go!
Go.
Go on with you!